1.5 miles below the surface of the South Pacific Ocean. 1.5 miles under the water, away from the daylight and the air that's so precious to all of us. That is the position of the stolen Euclidean submarine, in which Mrs. Gregory, Captain Tex Bradford, Jerry Hall, and Joan Gregory are trying to escape from the Magic Island. It would seem that they've done a fair job of escaping, as they're now 500 miles from the strange island. But things are not going along any too well, and Captain Bradford, left in control of the submarine, while Jerry and Joan are resting in the stern section, is admitting to Mrs. Gregory that he doesn't feel very happy about the situation.
I know you have complete confidence in Joan's knowledge of these Euclidean machines, but is it safe to stand still right here?
I think it's a lot safer to stand still than to run a machine I don't know much about, into something I know nothing about.
Well, are we securely anchored?
We are, but it wouldn't matter if we weren't. Have you any idea, Pat, what the pressure is under 9,000 feet of water?
Why, I know it must be enormous, but
You bet it's enormous, and we won't do any drifting, except as some current might move us a little. And Joan reminded us that currents are scarce along here, so we're safe.
9,000 feet below the surface of the sea, and safe?
Joan says so, and she knows.
I wonder.
Wonder?
Yes, wonder if we're not putting too much confidence in all of these Euclidean inventions.
Well, so far they've done everything that was claimed for them. They're perfect as far as I can see.
Is anything made by man ever really perfect?
No, of course not. We've seen enough of these things to know that we're better off with them than we would be without them.
When we're in such a position as this, yes. And what worries me most is that we're always in such a position. That's what makes Euclidia so terrifying and fascinating. It would be almost worth going over to their way of thinking to assure your safety.
Now, Pat, you're incurably romantic. And you're looking at all this as something very wonderful. I warned you when we started on this cruise that there wasn't any such thing as magic. But every time Jerry called that weird colony a magic island, you took it for granted. These scientists aren't magicians, Pat. And they aren't friendly or warm or reasonable. They're hard and bitter and clever and cruel.
How do we know that they are?
What?
How do we know that they're all those things?
They've kept us pretty tightly imprisoned for some time, haven't they?
Have they ever harmed us, though?
Those ray guns?
Oh, those ray guns have done nothing more to any of us than just to put us to sleep.
Even so, I'd just as soon pick out my own times to take a nap.
Oh, of course, Tex. It's a little surprising to drop off to sleep suddenly when someone else wants you to. But what I'm getting at is something larger than that. The real reason behind all the activities of G47 and his scientists.
That's easy enough. They're building up the greatest collection of mechanical and electrical devices the world has ever known. And when they complete their work, they'll simply take the world over.
But might the world not be better off?
Better off?
Yes. If all the nations were controlled equally, it might be a means to prevent war.
Yes, it might. But I'll bet G47 hasn't any such beautiful ideas.
Well, I believe he has.
You think that bunch of scientists have buried themselves out here in the Pacific Ocean to spend their lives thinking up things beneficial to the world?
Why not? Scientists have been giving their lives to help the world since histories have been recording their doing.
Yes, I know, Pat, but...
And we haven't any reason to think otherwise of G47 and his men.
You've certainly suffered a change of heart since our first landing on Euclidia.
I've learned a lot about the Euclideans.
So have I, and I don't care much about them.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tex. I didn't mean to start an argument with you. It's just that... Oh, I can't express exactly how I feel.
Well, don't let it worry you. We've been under such a strain for the last few weeks that everything is out of proportion. You'll be able to organize your ideas when we get home.
When we get home. Home. Only a little matter of 3,500 miles, and we are hurrying home by standing still, firmly anchored under 1.5 miles of water.
Well, Joan said it was best to remain anchored for a while, because she and Jerry had to have some rest. And navigating a submarine at this depth is something about which she knows a whole lot more than I do.
Oh, very well. I suppose there's nothing more to do.
And I'll call the youngsters to take over in a few minutes, and then we'll get out of their way and let them handle it.
J12C to J24Y. Johnson to Gregory boat.
Tex, it's Johnson.
Johnson
Yes, quiet
to
there.
Bradford. I've not been able to raise you. Answer if you can hear my signal. J12C to J24Y. J12C at Wilmington to Gregory boat.
Couldn't we answer him, Tex?
Joan said no.
But the Euclideans have our position anyhow.
We don't know if they have it
J12C
exactly.
to Bradford. Johnson to Gregory boat. Waiting for instructions from you before proceeding with plan. Can you hear me?
What does that mean, Tex? Waiting for instructions before proceeding with plan?
It sounds as if it meant that he was waiting to hear from me before compounding the formula and organizing our party to return to Euclidia.
Well, he should know better than that. Johnson doesn't need any instructions from you or anyone else to do the things he will have to do.
Exactly. Then his message means something else entirely.
What else could it mean?
That's what I don't know. Unless... Yes, that might be it.
What, Tex?
Those Euclideans. They have agents all over the world. Johnson may have found that they have someone watching him in Los Angeles.
In that case, they might take the formula away from him.
Yes, and in that case, Johnson would be smart enough to keep the formula hidden and do nothing without hearing from us.
But he may be in danger. Those men mean business.
I thought you were ready to believe they had only good intentions.
Why, I think they mean to use their inventions for good, but I'm even more sure that they wouldn't stop at anything to gain your formula. I wish we could warn Johnson of our position.
Well, it can't be done, Pat, so we'll just have to be patient.
Well, if we can receive his radio messages in safety, how could it do any harm to send him one?
They might learn a lot more on the island by intercepting our messages than they would from Johnson's.
I suppose so.
Have you had a message from Johnson?
Tex, it's Joan. They must be awake.
I'll say we're awake. What's going on there?
Well, suppose you and Joan hurry up forward and we'll tell you.
We will join you in the control section at once.
Perhaps Joan will know how to get a message to Johnson.
Perhaps, or she may agree that we'd better take a chance and send it, even if the Euclideans do hear us.
Boy, I sure got a lot more sleep on that steel mattress than I expected to get.
How many times have I told you that everything designed by the Euclideans would perform its appointed tasks perfectly?
And how many times have I told you that I'm not so crazy about everything the Euclideans do?
Now, you two forget your argument for a minute and listen to us.
Certainly, Captain.
Okay, Tex. What do you want?
We've just had a message from Johnson.
Yes, and it might be mighty important that we get an answer to him at once.
Hey, this boat isn't moving, is it?
Obviously not.
Well, Tex thought it better to anchor. We were making only 2 or 3 knots.
You were wise, Captain Bradford. We may ride safely at anchor here for an indefinite period.
Okay, never mind about how safe we are. What about Johnson?
He's apparently in some sort of trouble. Or at least we figured that from the unusual wording of his message.
What did he say?
He said he was making no attempt to complete our plans until he heard from us.
And that is not logical?
Far from it. Johnson knows everything to do exactly as we would do it ourselves. And when he seems uncertain, he's got a good reason for it.
Hey, how about sending him a message, Joan?
That depends entirely on Captain Bradford's view of the matter. If this is serious enough to warrant it, we must send the message.
Well, I think it's serious enough to warrant doing anything we have to do.
Then we will send a message to Johnson.
Tex, what wavelength did you get his message on?
3 meters. That's the best on our side at home.
J12C to J24Y. If you are getting this, listen carefully, as this may be my last message for some time. Danger threatens original plan.
Danger.
Quiet, Pat.
Radio tampered with. Safety deposit. Formula. Do not come to. Stay away from. John.
Hey, something's wrong.
What happened to the radio?
It was not this radio.
Something happened to Johnson's set. He said danger threatens. Then the set started to cut out. I didn't get the rest of his message.
I thought he started to say stay away from Los Angeles.
Yes, I heard that.
This should be a time for great accuracy. Johnson started to say, do not come to Los Angeles.
Well, that was the idea anyhow. He tried to say something about the formula.
And he mentioned safety deposit. Tex, the formula.
Yes, Pat, it's in a safety deposit box at the bank. But no one will ever get it.
Euclideans will find it comparatively simple to enter any bank in your world and take from it anything they may desire.
Oh, golly. I guess that's right.
Oh, Tex, your formula, they know where it is.
Yeah, I'm afraid they do.
Oh, and they'll get it.
Oh, no, they won't.
They will easily get into your vault at the bank.
Yes, and if they do, they may get their clothes taken off, or worse, for their trouble.
Gee, Tex, how have you got it protected?
Most natural way in the world. I protected the formula with some of the compound.
You've actually placed some of your universal solvent in that vault at the bank?
Right. The bank officials cooperated with me in giving me a small, unused section of an old vault. And the solvent is so located there that any disturbance or opening the vault with anything except the combinations known only to Johnson and myself will bring together the 2 portions of the formula. The universal solvent will be compounded immediately, and flowing over the written formula will destroy it in a fraction of a second.
You are well protected, Captain, and your foresight is admirable.
Oh, you bet. And it was a good idea, too.
Then you're not worried about your formula, Tex.
Not much, but I am worried about what they may have done to Johnson in trying to get the formula from him.
Hey, Tex, let's call him on the radio. You know, even if his set's gone bad, it'll help him just to know we heard him and we're on our way to California.
May we, Joan, dear?
The emergency warrants the risk. I will attempt to raise Johnson. He was on 3 meters.
Correct, Joan?
I'm turning all reserve electrical power in the entire boat into this transmitter. You may now reach Johnson with ease, Captain.
I'll try it. J24Y to J12C. J24Y to J12C. Bradford to Johnson. Gregory boat to Wilmington. Hello, Johnson. We got your last message. Do nothing until...
J24Y. J12C to J24Y.
Oh, that isn't Johnson.
Gregory Land Station
Sounds funny
calling
to
Gregory
me.
boat. You will answer if you are hearing me, Bradford.
Hey,
Answer at once.
sounds like one of those Euclideans.
That is one of the most brilliant and most dangerous of all the Euclidean scientists. Thales, the chief electrical authority in the world today.
I am
Thanks,
fully aware that
Euclidean
you
at
are
all,
listening,
radio.
Bradford. You will gain nothing by attempting to conceal your position. Your entire course is watched. I will give you 10 seconds to answer me. 10 seconds for the combination of the vault where your formula is kept. Think rapidly, Captain Bradford. You have only 10 seconds.
Tex, will you answer him?
Don't do it, Tex. He's bluffing.
I think we may safely defy him.
We'll risk it, and we won't answer him.
But he said 10 seconds. What can he do to us?
We'll know in a couple of seconds.
You have had your chance. Now you will never see your homes again, nor will you return to Euclidia. You will never leave the floor of the ocean where your submarine now lies. You have failed.